Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another instalment in the Copper and Wood Chute Mountain Railroad. If you were watching last week, you will have seen me work on the riverbed. This week I'm going to get all the dirt work done over the entire railroad. Actually, when I started editing this video, I did find some more footage of the riverbed, so that will be included at the start of this video. And something else that some of my viewers might be interested in. I recently returned back from my trip to Arizona, and this is the first video that I've edited post-installation of this railroad. And I am pleased to report that the customer is very happy. Actually, I could even say absolutely ecstatic. He told me that both the appearance and the smooth operation of the railroad far exceeded his expectations. So I am glad I pleased him. Anyway, without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and get to work.
Here I am the following morning, and the riverbed is nicely secure, or rather all the rocks in it are nicely secure. What I'm going to do next is to paint full strength white glue over the sculptor mould, then sprinkle the dirt on, and then put a final coating of the scenic cement just to make sure it's all properly bonded. And I think I just do that over all the sculptor mould areas. I don't know if the client gave me some red dirt for the end of the railroad. If he did, I will blend that in towards that end. Otherwise, I'm just going to use the stuff that he gave me. So I'm just going to turn the camera off, get to work, and I will talk to you again later. Well, actually, I did an experiment with dumping some of the dirt on it and then brushing it down. And I think it did actually make a difference. So I did it over the rest of it. And I like the look better now. It gives an almost dusty feel, and the colour of the dirt blends the different colours of the rock talus together. And I like it. So I've got to remember to put some more scenic cement down on top of it when I do the rest of the landscape. So with that aside, I'm going to go back to what I was going to do just now and start painting white glue over all the sculptor mould. Well, that is the next step done on the drop flap and the area leading to the staging yard. It looks a bit of a mess right now because of all the excess scenic cement lying around, especially on the riverbed, which is of course level. Normally I would put all the vegetation, the grass and weeds and stuff like that on at the same step, but the client wants to do all that himself. So I'm just putting the dirt down. I'm just going to continue working around the rest of the railroad, and I'll check in with you again some other time. I've done the next area, the other side of the staging yard, as far as the second road. I've painted both roads with the same base colour as I used in the sculptor mould, because I didn't want to risk any white showing through. But I'm going to let those dry before I sprinkle dirt on them. This dirt that the customer supplied to me is very fine, and for some reason most of the scenic cement is just running off the surface instead of soaking through. I think maybe subconsciously I might not be putting as much on because I know I've got a limited amount, instead of just being able to dig up buckets full out of my backyard. I've tried an experiment with this area around the watering hole. I haven't put any additional glue on after the spray with isopropyl alcohol. I'm hoping that that will cause the initial base coat of full strength glue to soak up through all the dirt and glue it down properly without the need for additional glue. I won't know until tomorrow, so I'm just going to have to wait until then. It's far better to wait a day doing other things than it is to risk messing it up. Well, here I am back out in the workshop again the following morning. The riverbed looks quite nice, at least I think it does. The rest of the landscape didn't go quite as I expected. There's still quite a lot of the light tan paint showing through. And I've also got a couple of areas where there's a white residue. I think I'm going to have to coat those again. In fact, I think I'm going to have to coat most of it again and put more dirt on this time. While I think about that, I'm going to have a go at the roads. I have a T strainer and I'm going to use that to try to put a nice even layer of dirt on the two roads and the various parking lots. So let me get on with that and I'll be right back. Well, I think that is about everything that I need to do with the buff coloured dirt. Maybe a little bit more along the back here. I now need to get the reddish dirt and work my way back out from the rock cut area and then blend the two colours on both sides. Let me just put a little bit more of the brown dirt in that back area behind the bucket, and then I'll switch to the red. Well, that is the whole railroad covered with dirt. So that is the end of that step. I ran into a problem at this end of the railroad. Although I had plenty of the tan dirt, what I thought was 4 bags of red dirt turned out to be 1 bag of red dirt and 3 of something else. There was 2 of the salmon coloured over here and 1 of dark brown stones. So although I got the centre area of the red rocks area covered in red dirt, I had to improvise on other areas. I don't think it's going to be that noticeable once the vegetation layer is installed, but I'm not doing that. The client wants to do that himself. And talking about vegetation, I think I have answered my question earlier as to why I was having problems with the scenic cement running off the surface instead of soaking in. I think it's simply that I'm not doing the ground foam, because normally I put the ground foam on first and then spray it with alcohol and put the diluted glue on the top of that. And I think the foam is what's stopping the glue from running off the surface, just as grass and roots and other vegetation does the same thing to prevent erosion in the real world. So I guess in future, if anyone asks me to do the dirt but not the ground foam, I'm going to have to decline. I do either both or neither. But we live and learn. Anyway, I now need to just leave the room and let all that glue dry, and I won't really know what I have until tomorrow morning. So I will see you then. Well, this is what the railroad looks like the following morning, with all the excess dirt vacuumed off. There wasn't a whole lot of it. The vast majority of it stuck down. There's a few areas where the sculptor mold is showing through, but that's to be expected, and that will get covered with the vegetation, which, as I mentioned yesterday, the client is doing himself. He didn't want me to have all the fun. The next step is to peel all the masking tape off the track and start ballasting. Well, I have now removed all the masking tape from all the track. I've had a good clean up, vacuumed up all the debris. I've also permanently installed the bridge on the drop gate. So I'm going to have to work with that up for the next couple of hours. So now it's time to get out all the ballasting tools. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Well, that's all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, found it useful or interesting, or both. And I hope to see you back next week, where I will ballast the track. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and bye for now.